and gentlemen, if you're not sure who I'm talking about, Medina Harvey, Medina Harvey is here in studio with us. I always want us to take it to the beginning, right? The very, very beginning of your life.
Right.
So you were born in Zimbabwe, bred in Zimbabwe, and you found your way in South Africa.
Yeah.
You've spoken openly about how your parents instilled the discipline in you. Take us back to those days.
Wow, it feels like ages ago. Maybe I'm giving my age away here. But Zama, life like anybody else, I think people of color, some of us are born into a space where we live for one another. It is how our families look out for us. My parents did the best that they could. I found myself crossing the Limpopo, after getting married and coming through to South Africa. My early days were in business, were the YFM days with the Fresh and the Gregs, and
wow.
Doing loads of things there, working in Spain, broadcasting from Ibiza, coming back to SA, bringing the live DJs from that end here. But I stumbled into my career. I wouldn't say that it was intentional. It obviously was something that God had planned for me. Mm-hmm. So you go through the challenges of childhood trauma, you go through the challenges of marriage and divorce. I had never experienced apartheid. I came inside and it hit me like a bang, but how do you overcome all of that? How do you become resilient, have tenacity, and still be the individual that God's created you to be? And that's a life journey.
And in that life journey, in all that you were doing, there was a time that you then co-started the MMI, which is the Music Marketing International. Can we talk a bit about that and how you then gave birth to this amazing company?
Okay, so what happened there is I was at an ad agency. I was at Draft FCB, one of the biggest agencies at the time, and I was working on the Vodacom account. Creating all those beautiful ads, those Yebogogo ads, but part of a great team. And that's where a lot of my foundation came with regards to advertising and marketing. I was blessed that the CFO at the time recognized abilities and more in me than I had even seen myself. And while working on that account, we tapped into the music space, and a gentleman popped in, and he was selling Lauryn Hill at the time. Because if we think about it, Vodacom, good sponsors, will tap into the credibility of an artist, and that's how they could leverage their brand in business. And Lloyd came in at the time, and he was selling Lauryn Hill, and I think I was a little bit restless, and there was always more, there's always more. What more can I do? How can I achieve? You either have that hunger or you don't, or you need to create it if you don't have it. And I got to chat to Lloyd, and long story cut short, ended up walking away from where I was at and joined Lloyd. Did we bring Lauryn Hill in? No, we didn't. But at the time, I had a good relationship with the client service team at Vodacom, and they were trying to also bring Randy Crawford in. So we brought the Randy Crawford in, and this is where I bounced and partnered with Lloyd. I must say that the idea of the birthing of MMI was Lloyd himself. He saw the value in me and partnered with me. And I just brought a different set of values to that company, and this is why we were joined at the hip, and we did many, many great things in music.
Sure. Already I'm picking up that the drive, the push. You say something like, there's always the bigger thing that you were after. What's happening around? I mean, we've just mentioned that you were born in Zimbabwe, you came into South Africa. How are things in the country? How are things for you as a woman and wanting to break into this new space?
Okay, so having MMI, that was Music Marketing International, and yes, we did exceptionally well. Your gut talks to you. The Holy Spirit talks to you. It depends on wherever your faith lies. There is something bigger than every one of us. There is a God that is way bigger than any one of us. And I really believe that I was driven by the Holy Spirit, the feeling that was in the pit of my stomach, saying, you've learned, the foundation has been created here, but something is not serving you right. When you can feel something is uneasy, the weakness of not understanding our own worth at times can hold you back. But when you can step out of that and you can go through the fear rather than around the fear and step into something that God has got for you, that is bigger for you, then you're on your way to self-discovery. You're on your way to bigger things. And that's what I did. I took the leap of faith and stepped out of Music Marketing International and started Dandelion Breeze. And if we look at a dandelion and you blow the dandelion, it sows the seed of sustenance. It's generation, it's the new, it's empowerment, it's making a difference. And I think having the core values of integrity and truth and standing to my truth more than anything else is what has helped me to survive in this uncertain space that we're in.
So we started a conversation. I was trying to say your name, but Dandelion is in my head. I'm like, because it's such a unique name, and we're gonna go into that. But I want to then, because obviously you broke out of that and you started this beautiful thing that we're going to talk about. But 1999 to 2009, I believe, that was the time of MMI. It's international. You mentioned some international names. Were you doing traveling at that time? Were you then being exposed at how different cultures, how people from different parts of the world are even reacting to the South African or even African music? In terms of then you personally, how does that shape you?
Well, let me tell you, there was a big aha moment when we were invited, but I'd already stepped out of the MMI space and I was in the Dandelion space. And again, we need great mentors and we need influence. We need people that see our value and we have to connect ourselves. I believe in coaching, life coaching, you've got to build yourself. There was a lady in Umashubi, she saw so much value in me, powerful African woman. And she saw the value and I stepped into her space and she held my hand and we went across together to a Bahamas conference. The Bahamas, it was a hip hop conference and we were invited. I mean, every artist you can think of, from Jay-Z to Beyonce to Snoop Dogg to Busta Rhymes were there. And we stayed in the same hotel. And it was the listening sessions over a period of time, and we would be in all these spaces listening to international music, more American artists, and really people giving their feedback. And my heart sort of dropped and I thought, where are our South African artists? Why are they not present? Why are they not here? I mean, the value of their music is equal to this, and I think that's where my heart opened quite big. And Norma was awarded the Arts Alliance business and we then flew back and she entrusted me because of what I'd come from the MMI space. And she was a strategist, but she had the vision. I had the passion and the hunger and the youth at the time. And we partnered up with management and we brought, it was, how can I forget his name? I can actually see him in front of me. But it was Eve and Busta Rhymes.
Oh, Busta Rhymes.
Eve and Busta Rhymes. So we brought them across. And for me, when I brought them across, I mean, my heart even breaks now because we partnered, got ProKid.
Sure.
ProKid, we got ProKid and we partnered him with Busta and we got KB and we partnered her with Eve. And I will never forget that. The equality that we gave them, from the limousines to the rate of restaurant to the technical rider to everything.
Sure.
They have never forgotten me. They put me on a pedestal. I don't deserve to be on a pedestal. That's God's glory for me being on that pedestal. But our artists performed. They performed. There was equality. And bringing back to music, sorry, I get very, very passionate because I think of all the things that we've done and given the opportunity. If we go out, whoever it is that goes out, and you are blessed to engage, to see what are you bringing back home.
Yeah, and that's absolutely beautiful because those are the kind of stories. You're taking us on a trip as you're speaking. I can already see it all happening, And I just want to know now what is happening. The whole world is looking at Africa when it comes to music right now. Zix Bandwini bagged a Grammy. Black Coffee did it recently. It's amazing. How does that make you feel? Remembering the days of way, way back.
I can't explain the joy, but it's also sadness. There's sadness that not everybody remembers where they come from.
Sure.
You know, when people don't remember where they come from, that's where there's a sadness. But then that's life. You know, we get caught up in stuff, we forget. But I would like to believe we forget temporarily. You know, the minute we come into ourselves and the egos are gone. And one of the quotes that I always share is, when you have nothing, your behavior, what is it like? Versus when you have everything and the ego steps in. But again, I come back to humanity, we're human. Answering your question, I am overwhelmed to see people do well. I also believe that we should never forget who sowed the seed, where people have started. And when I go back, I don't know everybody, but if I think of Brenda Fassi, if I think of Zama, if I think of, we can go back and back and back and think of the amazing John Kappa, all the people that their music just sings on. And then I was blessed enough to come into the space of the likes of Bob Mabena, of the likes of Greg Maloka, Fresh, you know, so many people that I connected with that then burst and showed me what the space was about. You know, I always refer to myself just as a girl from Bulawayo that crossed the Limpopo, that came here with a heart, a brain, and hands that were just willing to do whatever it took to survive and to become better.
Sure. Are you taking the journey with us? We started in Zimbabwe. We went to Limpopo, somehow found our way all around South Africa, went to the Bahamas, we came back.
That's not forgetting being blessed to have won the World Cup.
Sure, yes.
Part of, yes, and that was through, again, Vodacom was part of the SAIL group, Vodacom SAIL, and at that time they were looking to engage with small to medium enterprises. They partnered with us at the time, and we won the tender for Polokwane in conjunction with them. So took the whole office, the mini agency, and based it in Polokwane. While we were there, I mean, for 40 days, we had to have a lineup for that stage, day and night, in between the games. My heart was open for our locals. Everybody, you name it, every DJ, every the revolution, the brothers, the twins, that I can start name dropping. You're talking Squattercamp, Sia. All of them, KB, but again, I had to cross genres. I mean, I didn't quite understand Afrikaans coming from Zimbabwe. I still don't understand Afrikaans years later, but I had to look at the local Afrikaans music. I looked at the Kwaito. I looked at, if we go back, the Godfather, Oskido. I mean, I had engaged with all of them years ago. Yes, time has drifted. I haven't connected much. But the name still drops, the heart still sings, and when the beauty is when they do see me. The embracing is just too amazing.
Yeah, and that's just one thing that travel does, right? We always want to think of travel as leaving a certain destination and being in a certain destination, but even having a conversation with someone or inviting someone into your space, you might not understand what they're saying, Afrikaans you say, you might not even understand, but that takes you on a journey on its own, and that's the beauty of traveling. Let's talk about business networking.
Yes, okay.
Because we can go on and on and on.
We can. Okay.
Let's talk about business networking. We then move on to from MMI to then the birth of Dandelion Breeze. You've broken it into the 3 core services. Tell us about them.
Okay. I think where my heart really works strongly is corporate social responsibility and investment, because that's making a difference and touching others, and how are we developing other people. And I think through business and through meeting so many different people, sorry, when I say through business and travel, I mean the travel opened the doors for so many different spaces, just in personal travel and business travel. If your heart is open to network, and when you are in spaces, yes, I get it. Sometimes you just want to put your eye patches on and not say a word. But I think I cross the board a little from an introvert and an extrovert. If I see somebody is open, then I will engage. If somebody is not too open, I can become a little reserved. But from the people that I have met, that has also opened doors for others. Because again, I come back to, it's not just about you. it's about other people. I mean, one story I can give you is travels to Zanzibar, in a queue, getting onto the plane and then getting onto the bus and going to a beautiful 5-star resort and connecting with just one individual. I mean, there's an entire busload of people, but you connect with one. And at the time, I mean, Marcel had come in from Germany. She was really South African, but she was in Germany, and she was just taking a break just like I was. And we connected, came back in, and because she was doing life coaching, I was able to get so many of the people that I am currently was working with at the time to actually open their minds and be more conscious and engage with coaching in order to develop. So that's just one thing. Through travel, coming back, corporate social investment, getting somebody that you meet on your travel to get back into this country and to help others to see things differently. You know, because we all have a set of eyes and we also look into something, but we all don't see the same picture, as you would know. I mean, coming back to travel and business, when I was still at MMI, and I know I'm all over, but I'm just trying to touch on the touch points. We had walked into Philips here in South Africa, and we were on our bums at the time financially. You know, when you're just trying to make ends meet and you don't know where you're at and you're scraping, and through relationship in business, client servicing well, presenting an opportunity to the local brand manager at Philips. They have just launched a cell phone called BDJ, so to be a DJ on the phone, you could create and become a DJ. And we were presenting this concept to them, and she turned around and said, I have all my people here from Singapore, from head office. Perhaps you and Lloyd go in and present this to them. Yeah, why not? No, thumbs rolling. I'm sure a lot of the listeners know that your insides are turning, but you're on the big front because you know you've got to do this, and went in, presented the concept. Well, 30 minutes into that conversation, they loved it so. The CEO that is based in Singapore said, when can you guys present in Singapore?
Sure.
Oh, we'll check our diaries. Within the next week, we flew to Singapore. We were having status meetings in Singapore.
Sure.
We sold that campaign to launch and be rotated throughout Asia. And we tied in with the Ministry of Sound Music project. Ministry of Sound, Lloyd was very affiliated with it at the time, and that was based in the UK. So can you see how business, travel, connected us? We ended up in the UK, bringing a concept that was birthed in the UK to Asia, and from Asia brought it through to South Africa for the final, because we got every radio station involved because of the DJs in those spaces to be the judges of the consumer, the listener on the outside, trying to create a track on this phone. So creating a track on the device, the phone, the radio station, the consumer, the different countries. Can you see the tie in?
Amazing.
It was absolutely amazing. And we chose a winner from every different country, every different town, and our final was South Africa, Cape Town, with our local DJs. Now, how phenomenal is that?
So absolutely amazing. And I think you've also just summed up what business networking is. It's the ability of being able to start conversations that could end you up in a different country just a week later.
Absolutely.
Are a lot of South Africans practicing networking, and specifically business networking?
That's a hard question, Zama, because truth be told, I'm not too sure that I am equipped to give a true evaluation of that. I can only talk about the space I'm in. You know, and the space I'm in, I always believe there's room for more. There's room for more. We cannot just focus on self, because focusing on self, for me, doesn't go very far. I'm not saying you can't go far, but the teamwork, the dream work is in the teamwork, right? So the more we can extend, the more we can hold hands and not feel threatened by the next person. That's the challenge with so many of us here. We're so afraid to share our IP, we're so afraid to share our truth. You think someone's going to take it away from you. Nobody's going to take anything away from you. If you stand true to you and you understand your self-worth and your self-love, which not many people do, that's the core, that's where it starts, the consciousness. Where are you at, so that you are free to be the best version of you authentically. And if you can be that, more will flow. And there's more from a networking, from a connection, and just to create more.
Yeah. Sure, you have had the privilege of being part of huge brands in the country, I mean global brands as well. The Ministry of Tourism as a brand has just announced a new leader, right? Patricia DeLille has moved in as the new Minister of Tourism, South Africa. How do we as a country, number one, welcome this change, but as a brand, looking at South African tourism, what would you say is one thing that you would say about that brand?
I would say that we have to stand for our truth.
Yeah.
We have to stand for what the country stands for, and we have to be united. If we're going to be all over the show and dislocated, we're going nowhere. We have to stand together, stand as one, and hopefully listen to everybody's voices. You know, nobody should be on mute.
Yeah.
Everybody should be allowed to share their truth.
Sure.
With love, with integrity, with passion, and it needs to be heard. People need to listen. That's what I would say. Sometimes can we listen to hear?
Yeah.
Because if we listen to hear and not just always to answer,
Sure.
digest what
Yes.
people are saying.
Yeah.
Hold hands and become a strong force. Let's not have the weakest link.
Yeah.
Let's stand strong and let every link be so solid that we stand for one another.
Yeah.
And even when we see a weakness, let's not slate. Let's pray and let's hold on
Yeah.
and let's see the goodness.
Sure.
And then I think we're a force.
I said it earlier, the atmosphere has changed. So as soon as she walked in, I want to take us back, year 2020. I think globally, the whole world is still, it's not yet post-COVID, but it's at the middle of it, and we're all trying to figure ourselves out. The tourism economy had to do a lot of readjustment. You took a trip from Gordon's Bay.
Did you know about that? Oh my word!
You took a trip from Gordon's Bay. Where were you going to?
I went to Hermanus
Hermanus?
with an Uber. Whoa! Brokenness. Yeah.
No, but there was something about that trip because it gave them birth to the idea of the lodge.
The luxury guest lodge.
luxurious guest lodge.
Yeah.
Take us back.
Oh wow, Zama. I even get goosebumps. God is good. God is so good all the time.
Yeah.
I was broken, let me tell you, and I think there's still a lot of brokenness from the whole COVID scenario that we've all been through. I think people are in disarray. You know, so many people are just not able to get out.
Yeah.
Some people can. And it's how do we make that difference again? How do we not become selfish, you know, and look at others? So let me tell you, it was a double whammy for me. Edcon was our biggest client at the time, and I had done a lot of travel throughout Africa, launching in their different stores. You know, there's Edgar's, there's Jet, there's Legit, but Legit was where my passion was, because that was taking the underdog brand up to the top. So that's what I love to do. People forget the people on the ground.
Sure.
For me, I've never been starstruck. I've never been one of those. I mean, like I say, I've mentioned now the amount of people that I've mixed with, that I've touched with, that I've sat next to. I've got photos. You never see me put them on social media. You never, because I'm like, what for? Where are you now?
Yeah.
I'm not driven by that.
Yeah. Sure.
And I'm not slating those that are. Please don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But anyway, coming back to the Gordon's Bay. So having lost the Edcon account where 80% of our business had come in from, I was broken. I was afraid. So when COVID came, I thought, oh well, it was almost like a cover-up. Well, I'm not alone.
Yeah.
Everybody else is out of work. Everybody else doesn't have. So I'm together with everybody. But being a forward thinker, being an entrepreneur, coming from the small to medium enterprise entity kind of space, it was always thinking on your feet. I am always planning ahead. Like Denzel Washington said, if you fail to plan to fail. He's my hero. And I went to go see friends, the same friend through travel that I met on the trip to Zanzibar ages ago, that was in Germany, that originated from Cape Town, went to her travel business. I was with her, and I just was there for the weekend because I had to breathe. If we don't breathe, you will fall away. And for me, you need to understand that. You need to know when's breaking point. You need to have the ability, the discernment to be still, to know. And that's what I did. And when it was time to come home, I knew I was not ready. I was not ready. I hadn't fulfilled. There was still this anxious feeling of fear in the pit of my stomach. And I thought, no, let me travel. Got into an Uber. There was an Uber out, no Uber in. And I didn't know where I was going to. I was on the corner, one on Marine Drive. I will never forget this beautiful little guest lodge. And I walked in and I looked at this and I sat. It was freezing cold. I sat by the fire. I opened my book. I went into prayer first and I started writing. I love to journal. I write all the time. And I wrote and it was, wait, what am I going to do? How am I going to do that? Lord, talk to me. And I looked around, went to my room. Next morning, came down for breakfast, looked around, and then I realized I can do this. I can do exactly this. What I'm looking at, I can turn our home into a beautiful luxury lot.
Sure.
And I came back, broke things down through COVID, was able to sell one of my other properties. Oh, property is another story. I can tell you a whole lot about how I dabbled into having a number of properties. Again, just God's favor. How, I have no idea, but I did it. So I turned every room into an ensuite and gave up what I had as a big home to say, this is my anointed space, this is my ministry. How do I bring different people in? Let it go. Open it up. Let it go. And we have an amazing Lord.
Sure. We're going to take a breather. I hope this conversation is, I don't know, challenging you in one way or another. Being able to just breathe, being able to be at a different site. Maybe ideas will come flowing in. Here's a beautiful song by Black Coffee with Asha called Lala. We're coming back right after this. La 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 la. Good morning. What happened to the time? I am speaking, ladies and gentlemen, to the self-made businesswoman. She's committed to excellence. I think you've been emphasizing this a lot on how you are committed in making sure that it's not about self, it's not about now, but it's about the bigger picture, but it's also about taking someone else along, because we don't believe in the weakest link. Tell us about your journey in life coaching and how has that influenced everything that you're doing now?
So if I go back and I look at over the years, being in marketing, advertising, doing a lot of radio campaigns, traveling a lot, engaging and networking with the people I have, I didn't realize how I was actually motivating, influencing and coaching many. Until it was actually brought to my attention to say, hello, I mean, I've birthed one child, but I have many that call me mama, many. And that's the beauty, of God's glory. And what has happened is, they said to me, why don't you take this further? Why is it just us? And it was pre-COVID, during COVID, where I started documenting and writing and just putting down like different programs on if I had to engage with somebody, where are they now? Where do they want to be? Where was I? How do I use my life story and my journey to share my truth authentically, to get naked? When I say naked, really not be fearful of judgment, rip everything out, because that's the only way you cure, and allow my truth to stir up truth in others. Because when you share your truth and people build trust with you, they are then able to share their truth. Now I come from a lot of pain, trauma, like most of us. There's no perfect people around, and for me, it was such a lengthy period of time to get to understand who I am in my own words, because I was sacrificing me for the good of others, because I wanted to fit in and I wanted to be liked and I wanted to deliver and didn't really know who I was. So how do I prevent or help others not have to stretch it for such a long period of time? And that's how that came about, by engaging with many people. And obviously somebody had to drop the penny, and that was all the wonderful women that I had in my life. I mean, Zizo was one of them at the time. And what actually happened is I started really putting my head down. Did I go on any educational academic courses? No. I mean, I go right back to from my marketing days, my business days, Do I have any HTLB next to my business card? No, I don't. But what I do is I have life experience. And through that life experience and through my own journey, I decided that I want to do conscious coaching because it's all about conscious. It's about consciousness. So I put myself on many courses, international and local, just to understand what it is. Firstly, that my heart desires, and then how do I take that and implement and pay forward. So that's how Live Life Boldly was birthed. It started off as Bold Woman, but like many campaigns that I've started in the past, I can talk about Sisters with Blisters. You know, I can talk about things that started in our backyard. You know, Sisters with Blisters, what was Kagiso at the time, she was with Radio Commander. And you birth an idea and somebody takes it. Somebody out there takes it. And they make it bigger because they've got the finance and they put a stamp behind it. But instead of being resentful, I'd be grateful. I'm saying, thank you, Lord. You obviously have placed creativity within me and I can keep birthing it. Those that want to take from me, I have no control over it. So resentment is poison. I'm not going to sit there. I'm going to allow it to flow. I'm going to get rid of it and I'm going to move on. And I've continued to do that. So we are at Zama. Yes, there's the whole market. There's the lodge of what I do, and right now the heart of what I do is Live Life Boldly because the Bold Woman name was taken from us. So we're all still bold women. Nobody can take that away from me. But Live Life Boldly, we made sure we registered it initially, we endorsed it, and it has so many different platforms. You know, some of the platforms are roundtable discussions. Strangely enough, I found more men follow me than women, and I was like, okay, what is it? But I found that men are open to listen because they might not be forefront, but there is so many hidden painful things within them. And they listen to me, they follow me. I have groups of courageous conversation, roundtable discussions. I do one-on-ones, and now we're just launching a new website because the Live Life Boldly website will be launched where we're going to have packages online. Online packages because technology, I'm so old school, I'm so blessed to have young people like a faith in my space who've been working closely with me saying, hold up, some people just want to go online, they want to read, they follow you, where is it? Sell them something, let them get on with it, let them do the courses, let them do what they want. And then those that want to be in your space can. But I'm going to launch with a boot camp. Very, very soon I want to have a boot camp.
That's exciting. That's exciting. As you're speaking, I'm thinking, you are constantly reminding me of the words, it is all within you. It is all within. When you mentioned there is no even prefix before your title, I'm thinking, because let's not chase that, but rather let's chase what is within. And that's absolutely amazing. I want to ask this. We've got a few minutes left.
Ask me all those questions, Zama. Let me get to that.
I want to ask this. Live life boldly. And obviously the conversations. By the way, thank you so much for those conversations. We see you on YouTube. We see you on Instagram.
Share, like
platforms. What is a bold conversation that you feel young South Africans should be having right now? I mean, there's a whole lot that we can talk about. We can look at the unemployment, we can talk about gender-based violence, or we can bring into the great conversations which we love having on the show, how travel can uplift you and play a part in who you're becoming. But what would you say is critical for us to boldly have this conversation as a nation and especially as young South Africans?
For me, you boldly have to stand to your truth. You boldly have to stand and say, what happened yesterday was yesterday. I've got no context to yesterday. I cannot change yesterday. It's like a graveyard. You go to the graveyard to visit it. I'm not saying you don't mourn, but you don't build your tent and camp there. So yesterday is yesterday. Do not feel entitled. There's no entitlement here. Who am I? What do I have with me? And how do I move forward? And how do I do it collectively? How do I share my truth as in there is power in my voice? But can I share it respectfully? Can I not want to bold and become rich overnight? There's no quick schemes to getting rich. Can we forget about that? Can we put in the hard work? Can we plan and can we become the best version of who we are together?
Listen, it's a few minutes before we wrap up the show. I think let's wrap it up right here. Can we have a part 2?
You can have as many parts as you want.
Can we have a part 2? Check her out on social media, guys, at live _ life boldly. That's the Instagram that we've just started. But Bold Woman, the Bold Woman SA at Live Life Boldly is what you will find on YouTube. Okay, awesome. Where else can people catch you?
Well, on Facebook as well, and we're still sort of trying to find out exactly where we should be based, but everybody's floating today. So 25 on Chrysalis.
Yay!
The luxury guest lodge. It has the most beautiful glass coffee shop on it. It has the most beautiful nail bar on it. It has a hair salon on it, and that's empowering women to build their little platform on a platform that is anointed.
Listen, there's so much that we wanted to unpack, but we ran out of time, and that's why we need to have a part 2, which we're definitely going to have. Ladies and gentlemen, Medina Harvery. Medina Harvery, remember the name. In fact, take the time to look up on the name and listen to a few of the lessons that she dropped on YouTube recently. We're going to be wrapping up the show, and I'm still going to make those 2 announcements. We're going to try and squeeze it all in with the little time that we have left. Very good morning to you.